What's up guys, this is Wenzes. Welcome back to my channel where we talk about personal development for INFJs and how to create an epic life on your terms. Today we're talking about INFJ careers, all or nothing, because I've been talking to a lot of INFJs about this topic lately, and there's always this one thing that comes up, which is this isn't exactly what I want, so why should I go for it? There are reasons that are keeping me from going the next step, and in the end we all stay at the same place and wonder why we can't get ahead and feel like we're stuck in the mud. Before we get started, I want to remind you though that the bootcamp is starting really soon. So I will release the dates in a couple of days and it will be the last bootcamp this year. Limited seating. So if you're interested, sign up for the waiting list. And this Saturday on September 19th, we're having a free INFJ Epic Life workshop, which will be streamed on here. But if you sign up, you get all the information beforehand. So let's talk about INFJ careers. In the end, it doesn't matter if it's something that you want to pursue on the side, if it's something where you want to be an entrepreneur, or if it's something where you say, I want to have a job, there's this vocation that I feel and I want to express it through my career. What is rarely talked about is that for us, careers have a lot to do with our extroverted sensing. It's not about having some kind of job so we can say, oh, I have this job and this makes me feel good. We think that that's the case, but I've actually talked to so many INFJs, also clients of mine, who said, okay, I took on this job because it sounds good, it gives me some kind of prestige, but then I had a rush for like 2 days and then it was gone, and I was wondering why I am in this job. But still, we do have in the back of our mind so often that we have the urge to have a career. But what does that mean? Why does that actually have to do something with extroverted sensing? Well, the thing that excites us most about careers is the fact of growth. If you imagine a career, and probably how careers are shown on television or on shows or whatever it is, it's always about the growth process. It's about going somewhere, tapping into your potential and making it bigger. Seeing how you can turn something into reality through your mental capacity. And this process in itself is extremely fun and extremely fulfilling. But most of the time, we're either not aware of how to do it, because the only thing we see how we could manage it would mean that we go into a direction of something that doesn't satisfy us, or it seems like too much of a stretch. And we then say, I don't see the steps, I don't see how this is supposed to happen, so we stay stuck. And this is something that I see and hear all the time. And it's something that so many INFJs encounter. In my opinion, this comes from our introverted intuition in comparison to our extroverted sensing, of course, meaning we have this idea of what careers really mean to us. This feeling of achievement, this feeling of growth, this feeling of self-actualization. And then we look at reality and see that we cannot get that feeling through the things that are offered to us outside. And because of that, we stop. But the thing is this, you don't have to stop. You can change the way you look at it and the way you actually feel by pursuing a career. The first thing we have to understand is that it's about that growth. That if you want to grow, you have to make certain steps happen where you have to decide, okay, this is not exactly what I want, but it will help me grow in any kind of capacity. It might not be everything, but through that, I will establish qualities within myself that will help me. So last job I had, for example, before I became a full-time YouTuber and life coach, this was something where I knew this isn't going to satisfy me for the rest of my life. But I also knew going there would challenge me. It would be something where I had to learn discipline, where I had to learn to persevere. And this quality helped me so much later on in pursuing my own business. So this was never a waste. And the moment I decided now it's time to actually step my game up because I have to prioritize growth, everything fell into place. We have to reflect on what is that feeling that we're so yearning for inside. And in most cases, you will recognize it's growth. And when it comes to growth, we have to be willing to take steps in the real world that don't represent exactly what our image is, what our introverted intuition would want it to be. Because with every step you take, you actually become a bigger version of yourself. And that bigger version is aware of seeing new opportunities your current state cannot. And this is not something I tell you from a position where I am thinking, okay, you just need to grow to where I am at and then you're gonna recognize this. I know this about myself as well. There are levels I haven't reached yet. Of course there are. And it's all about personal fulfillment. It's not about how much money you make. It's not about some kind of title you have. It's about the game. It's about the pursuit. And it's about tapping into that potential. And as long as you stay in this mindset of this is what I want, but reality doesn't represent that. So for example, you say, I want to be my own boss. I want people to respect me. I want everything to be smoothly. But in reality, the only thing that's offered to you is a job where you would have to work more, where you would actually have to prove to yourself that you can do it. It would be a challenge, but it's not going in the exact right direction. And when you're in this position and you don't know how to get from A to B, A being your vision and B being that thing realized, then it's time to take some steps in order to become a person who's much more able to see how to get to B. Confront yourself with the possibility that your mind is constantly looking for reasons to keep you safe. Maybe you're telling yourself, yeah, I shouldn't do that job because this is a direction where I would betray myself. This was something I thought for a long time. I thought if I go and work in consulting and I go on that level as I worked before, this would be like me saying, okay, I care about career more than my life and I'm willing to sacrifice my well-being and my free time. Well, that wasn't the case. Of course, I started to work more. Of course, I had to get more disciplined, but I could also set the boundaries in such a way that were healthy for me. So I had to question my own limiting beliefs that were telling me at that time, if you go down that road, then you would actually give up what you really care about. You would have to change and then say, yes, I do care about this workaholic lifestyle, which till this day I don't. But what is the alternative? And this is where a lot of people get stuck. They don't think about the alternative. They just say, okay, this is something I don't want to do. So instead of doing this, I'm just not going to do anything. And then you've already lost. It's not like you can't change that, but every single time you're not making a decision, every single time you're staying in the same spot as you are right now, you're not giving yourself the opportunity to grow. This growth can happen through something like, yes, I'm willing to put in more work. But very often that's not the case. Very often it's about challenging yourself of doing something that maybe before you didn't think was a possibility. Maybe it's about being okay doing something that isn't that exact thing. Because if you prioritize growth, if you prioritize becoming a person who can take on this new challenge, you will automatically have a much broader horizon of where your thoughts could take you, of where your future could take you. Now I know and have capacities and think in spheres I never thought possible 5 years ago. And it doesn't feel like a big stretch. The reason why I'm able to do that is because I was willing to stretch myself even in a direction that isn't exactly where my end goal is headed at. But through that aspect, I became more. I learned more. I was able to take on and handle more stuff that I wasn't able to do before. At the same time, don't let your current circumstances stand in your way. I get messages actually quite often where people say, oh, it's really easy for you to say, specifically when it comes to INFJ careers and making your business out of your hobby and all of those things, because they say, well, you've had it all good all your life. You had like such a great job. You know, you have a different starting point than I had, but that's not the case. I'm a kid of immigrants. I'm a first generation immigrant. I was born in communism. All my school, I paid for myself. I made all of this happen. And I also had low paying jobs. My first job was in a shoe store. While I was writing my diploma, I was working in a gym. So you don't ever have to accept where you're at. You just have to be willing to take the next step that will help you grow. And if that means that you have to start with a low paying job, then do that. Because it's not about what opportunities that job offers you. Me working in a shoe store, that didn't open up any possibilities for me in order to have a career in the shoe industry. But it taught me to want to grow. It taught me to be self-reliant. It taught me to have pride in being able to provide for myself. Because these are the things that really make a difference. These are the things that are gonna make us feel like we're actually growing and experiencing life in the capacity we want to. We want to feel that excitement. We want to feel that growth. So let's make that happen. Choose growth over result. Choose progress over results and be willing to question your own belief systems. I know I had to, and it's not something that happened overnight, and it's not something that I don't do now. I do it now all the time. I know that if I want to grow to the next step, if I want to be even bigger in the way I show up in the world, because I want to experience life more, I want to be able to have an impact even on a bigger scale. I want to have all of those emotions because this makes me feel alive. This is the kind of career that excites me. If I want to do this, then I know I need to change some of the beliefs I have. I know I need to change some of the dynamics I have in my life. I don't know exactly how, but that's not the point. The point is that I'm willing to look at them. The point is that I'm willing to say, yes, there's something that I've chosen so far that is not in the best interest of mine if I want to go to the next level. And I challenge myself to such a way that it gets me out of my comfort zone, but it doesn't overwhelm me. You have to do something that scares you a little bit. If it didn't scare you, the step wasn't big enough. And don't be afraid of going into a direction that isn't exactly what you think it will bring you. Go for the growth, and you'll see how you'll become a different person who knows so much better what to do next. Like I always use this example of, climb up a mountain, and once you're there, you'll have a much better vision of where to go next. You'll know because you're on a different altitude, you see things differently, you've encountered different people, and your life view has changed. No matter where you're at in your life, it doesn't matter if you don't have a job right now and you're looking to get started. Start with anything. It doesn't matter. It's more about becoming a person who shows up to work every day, and then you take up the next step. Because it's all about the mindset. We have to be in control of that and to take on more and more in that aspect. Doesn't matter if you want to start your own business or if you have already a very well-established career, but you think, is that all? That doesn't satisfy me. Step into an area where you might have thought, oh, this is not for me, but you don't know it yet. Some things we just have to try. No matter how well developed your introverted intuition is, it will never beat experience. And experience will give you new information that will show you the next step. I really hope that helped you and inspired you to take on your INFJ career. You can feel and live the way you want, including that aspect. And remember, the bootcamp is starting soon, so sign up for the waiting list. And this Saturday, we have a free workshop. It's going to be here on YouTube. I think it's going to be 12 noon New York time. So tune in for that. And if you want to watch another video now that is in line with today's topic, then watch one of my videos on INFJ careers that make money. Like always, guys, I wish you a wonderful day, a great week, and I'll talk to you next time. Bye.